can talk. It's okay to talk.
All righty, we're talking.
Hey,
Hey,
there we go. We're talking a lot.
it's not like we don't talk all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen.
You wanted to shut up after.
Yeah, exactly. Muting us is not
Amen.
exactly a good option.
Not an option.
I know Michelle feels that way anyway.
And there we go. Look, Jay, I got to be honest. The way that looks.
Good morning. Welcome to Kilroy's Conversation, hosted by Major Andrew White, Marine helicopter pilot Chuck Wright. Gentlemen, take it away.
All right.
Hoorah!
Good morning.
And welcome.
Hoorah.
Good morning to
Good to see you, Ted, by the
everyone.
way.
Thank you. Got to clear that throat. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's early in the morning. It's Saturday. Yes. Can't even
Saturday,
remember the day.
all day long.
All day. You know, that's a new thing. I guess we're starting 24 hours a day, a full day. You know, that's how it's going to work now. I guess so.
The adage I always heard was work 8 hours, sleep 8 hours, make sure they're not the same 8 hours.
It depends on which branch of service that you're in, that happens or not. But, you know, also tea times are involved in there.
Yeah, there's something about tea times.
Exactly. Well, we've got a great show today. Going to be dropping some big knowledge bombs over there today. So, you know.
Turn your device off.
Turn my device off. Oh.
Yeah, you're getting bleed over.
Alrighty. All right.
Yeah, because the show is on a couple of second delay.
There we go.
And so for those of us who can't multitask, hearing what we said a few seconds ago is annoying.
Exactly. All right. So sorry about that little technical difficulty, but we're getting used to it. You know, working out the kinks and the bugs. That's part of what we do. But before we get into the show, instead, we will be dropping some pretty cool, I think, some really neat
So we're going to drop
knowledge
knowledge
bombs.
first? You want to drop knowledge bombs
Well,
first?
before we drop knowledge bombs, we do got to do one small thing, and we've talked about this. I want to recognize one individual, and definitely this individual's family. Unfortunately, this week, we lost a great American. He was not a veteran, but he did tremendous amount of work to help out the veterans here in the DFW area. And his father, certainly a great friend of the show, great friend of all of ours, also helped contribute to many veterans. So to the Llewellyn family, unfortunately, they lost their son, Mason Llewellyn, earlier this week. Our hearts and thoughts are definitely with them and their family, and just want to take a moment to recognize Mason, a life unfortunately taken way too soon.
Way too soon.
To Dennis, our thoughts are with you and your entire family right now. Just can't express enough, thanks for everything that you've done for everything, and our heartfelt to your family for the loss of Mason. He was an incredible young man, and I personally spent many, many times help rebuilding homes with him, and just a giant of a man. If you ever met Mason, Mason was
a big boy.
A big man,
Yeah.
but with a big heart. And like I said, our hearts and thoughts are with the entire Llewellyn family today. That being said, let's go into some Kilroy. Oh, actually, great point.
Before that, explain the uniforms.
We got to explain what we're wearing today. We have a great game today. Probably a better game than I think most people think it may be, based off of last week's. Now, my beloved Army Black Knights are traveling down to San Antonio, Texas.
To the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, the Alamo Bowl.
To take on the mighty UTSA.
The Roadrunners.
Actually, they should be the Armadillos.
Really? Talk to me about that.
I was actually on student government, part of student government at the time, and we were voting on a mascot because we were a fairly new school at the time. Unfortunately, neither I nor the school are new anymore. But so we had a vote of the student body, and they voted for the beloved native to that part of Texas, armadillo. And there was a lot of pushback, and it was interesting because a gentleman by the name of Bob Stern, I believe, anyway, it was a sports
We'll call him
writer.
Bob.
But Bob was complaining, they're going to shorten the nickname to the Dillos. Well, okay, Robert. One of the dumbest things, but the school administration overrode the decision and created the name of Roadrunners. Now, the interesting thing, I had never seen it, having lived in that area for 15 years at the time, never seen a single Roadrunner.
First and only time I saw a single Roadrunner, El Paso.
Yes. Now, the miners could change their name to the Roadrunners. So,
Right.
yes, a little bit of a bug in my craw as we speak. But as we count down to the Commander-in-Chief Trophy, and let's explain, the Commander-in-Chief Trophy is awarded to the Service Academy, so Army, Navy, Air Force, with the best record.
Right. It's safe to say Navy is no longer in contention.
I don't think Navy is going to do real well this year, but they might. Their game this week is with East Carolina, so we were going to preview the Army UTSA game, which will be broadcast on ESPN today. It actually looks like it's going to be a very good college football game.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk just a little bit about that before we go into because I'm glad you reminded me of that. You know, we were talking before the show. I've been to many, many, many West Point games, and we are definitely a ground and pound type of offense. You know, we were talking. I was at UNT versus Army a couple years ago, and the stats were just unbelievable. It was like we had over 340 yards running on the ground, 17 yards passing. It was just, it's like, why have a quarterback? You know, it just didn't make sense. But that's what we do. Now, Air Force also is another ground pound type of game.
Actually, all of them are.
And
there's actually
Navy's got a pretty good passing. I mean, you did have a quarterback a few years ago.
Did have a quarterback,
you know,
but they were primarily a triple option team.
You know, couple options in the NFL later on in his career.
Yep.
But it should be a better game than I think people are expecting. UTSA, I think, gave BYU a little bit of a wake-up call last week.
Yes, indeed.
You know, and
BYU's actually a really good top-ranked team this year. Came into San Antonio and got a little bit surprised.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they got a little bit surprised that UTSA was ready to play some big boy football.
And I give all the credit to UTSA. I know a loss is a loss is a loss.
Yep.
But if there's ever a loss with a little bit of dignity afterwards, I would say that ranks up there with the you can hold your head up pretty high. You held with the big boys that day and
played with the big boys. So today's game, all the predictions are basically a one-score game either way. So there is no clear-cut favorite in this.
I would agree.
Surprisingly, if there was any lean at all, it was to UTSA. Which is interesting as they are on their fourth quarterback of the year. They seem to have settled on a young man who is both a semi-mobile in the pocket quarterback, but a very good passer. So it will be a challenge to the Army defense. It's going to be very, very interesting. And then the big question is can they stop the Army triple option? And I'm gonna tangent ever so slightly. One of the reasons the service academies have adopted the triple option, that's actually multifold. The really high quality athletes tend to go to D1 schools where they've got a shot at the NFL. The service academies get some excellent athletes, but they tend to be a little bit smaller. And they have found the triple option offense is very difficult to work against for opponents because they don't see it all year.
That is
so
true.
They're throwing something at them that is a little bit hard to see. And then the third part of this is in any ground control offense, once you get up by 7 to 10 points, you all of a sudden change the scope of the game.
You own the clock.
You're exactly right. Couldn't have said it any better.
And
so
that
there we
is
go.
huge. And I remember when Army played Oklahoma a couple years ago, and I remember that game went to double overtime.
Double overtime.
And Army gave Oklahoma all it could handle.
Everything it wanted.
And you know what? They were literally one play away from upsetting Oklahoma in that double overtime game. And you know what? Army, I don't remember the exact time, but it was almost double Oklahoma's time of possession that game. It was a heck of a game to watch.
Yes.
Bitterly disappointed, but Army definitely showed that, hey, we can play with the big boys when we want to, and they certainly did.
Absolutely. So, Air Force is on a bye this week, and there'll be a lot of those during this college football season. But we'll talk real briefly about Navy and East Carolina. I keep wanting to say Temple, but they played Temple last week.
That's a tough game to kind of call and pick. I mean, East Carolina is not the football juggernaut that you would think.
Back in the days of Lincoln Riley as their offensive coordinator.
They were a formidable force. The Purple Pirates out there.
The Purple Pirates.
And did you know that the McDonald's outside East Carolina has the purple arches? Did you know that?
Nice. I did not know that.
Yes, they do.
This is a fun fact. Few people would ever know. As East Carolina is in a fairly small town.
Yes, they have the purple arches on their McDonald's thing. They love their pirates out there.
So
speaking of pirates,
of pirates, stay tuned for our October 31st show. We got a little special something going on, but tune in for that. All right. So we have covered college football. Before we get into the meat of today's show, we actually have two meats of our show. But we want to get into Kilroy's knowledge. We want to drop some knowledge bombs.
Definitely dropping knowledge bombs today. Let me tell you, bring out your notepad because you're going to get schooled today. Yep. You're going to get some information that you said, I knew that, but I did not quite.
So lead it off for us.
All righty. Well, I'll take the first one. Why not?
As you guys remember, I don't care.
Yeah, I'll do the first one. Why not? Because you're native Texan, so I'll let you take the second one. All right. First one is, as you all remember, last week's show we talked about the lower branch of service.
Oh man.
Hey, as an Army guy, I'm allowed to say that the Navy celebrated their 245 birthday on Monday the 13th.
Tuesday.
Oh, it was Tuesday?
Tuesday.
That's the problem. We had the day off on Monday, or at least I did.
This is the cross that I have to bear when I work with an Army guy.
Exactly. Days of the week, they all kind of blend in together. Anyways, on October 13th, the Navy celebrated their birthday. So to all the squids out there, we once again re-wish you a very happy Navy belated birthday.
There we
today.
go. In the immortal words of Robert Duvall and the classic The Great Santini, to all squids and rust pickers, Haruga! Okay, so let's move on. 1845. This has absolutely nothing to do with the military, but as a 6th and 7th generation Texan, an overwhelming majority of voters, 94% in all, in the Great Republic of Texas, approved a proposed constitution that, if accepted by the U.S. Congress, would make Texas the second state west of the Mississippi.
Pretty cool. Now, again, not a Texan, but I got here as quickly as I possibly could, and thanks to my beloved Army, they made me stay here for an extended period of time. So my kids are from Texas, my wife's from Texas, so
there you go.
I've adopted rather nicely, I would say, to the Texas culture.
No cowboy hat, no cowboy boots.
No, I got boots.
He's adopted.
Whoa, a second.
Where are your boots?
They're not on today, but I got a great pair of boots.
Sure. I believe you.
I did.
The checks in the mail.
No, I will wear my boots. You know what? As you come as a cowboy, I'm gonna come as a cowboy. You're gonna come as a pirate on Halloween.
Right. There we go.
So there we go. We figured out our Halloween costumes thanks to our great listeners up here.
Why don't you hop over and tell a fun fact in this week in history about the U.S. Navy?
Fun fact about the U.S. Navy.
I made notes for you. Just read the third line.
The third line. All right. Well, I was going to get there, but I was still going to talk one little thing about Texas. Texas is the only state in the union, from what I understand, that has its own separate independent constitution because of it used to be a republic of some,
Well, it's interesting. I'm not sure if that's true. It is the only state in the union that was accepted as a state by treaty.
Treaty. Okay, maybe that's the term. I know there was a terminology that there's a lot of things that make Texas exceptional and better than 49 others, in my personal opinion. But
as John Steinmark said, Texas is a state of mind.
It is, but I knew there were a few things because Texas was its own independent nation.
That is correct.
They were the only ones that was an independent nation before they became a state.
One can make that argument about Hawaii.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's I need to research that more, but
Knowledge bomb to be continued on
to
that
be
one.
continued.
So, back to your point, nice little Navy, knowledge bomb over here. We're going to go in on this week in history. In 1863, the USS Henley.
Hunley.
I call it
No
Henley.
E. There's no E in it.
There's an E. I'm looking right at it.
It's at the end.
Anyways, the Hunley, all right, was the first submarine to sink a warship. Did you know that not only did it sink the warship, but since the charge cord that they used to detonate it was not long enough, they also sank themselves.
Yes, I did know that.
The concussion blast came back, and how they used to work is they would go, as we would say, ramming speed ahead.
Ramming speed.
They'd run the
Hunley.
Hunley
The Hunley.
into the side of the ship, or would that be considered broadside for Navy?
Could be the broadside of the ship, basically with a long spear.
Exactly. Went in, spear got stuck with a large charge. I have no idea how large the charge was, but I've seen pictures of it. It looks like a giant keg that was on
so
the...
where could one find the Hunley
There
today?
are parts of the Hunley over in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Why? Who knows?
Until this morning, I had never heard of Pigeon Forge,
Let me tell you, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee is a incredible place. If you ever want to go there, by the way, great moonshine in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. They have a very old distillery there, and kind of cool, Hannah Montana grew up just around the corner from there, or whatever her real name is. I just know that because my kids told me about that. Fun little fact. And Dolly World is not far from there as well. But the mayor, when he comes in the area, they say the pigeon has landed rather than the eagle has landed.
The pigeon has landed. I like that. Now,
yes.
Can you tell me the famous writer who actually found the remains of the Hunley?
That I do not know.
Clive Cussler, known for Raise the Titanic.
Which is also a huge giant museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. In fact, we got to get them as a sponsor for our show.
Exactly.
Got
to call the Chamber of Commerce of Pigeon Toe, Pigeonhole.
Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Pigeon
Let me
Forge.
tell you.
Sorry, guys.
I'll have to tell you great things. They have incredible stuff. If you ever go there, we have to do it in August.
No kidding.
Awesome stuff over there.
Okay.
Anyway, moving right along.
So moving right along, in 1918, we try to honor a Medal of Honor recipient every week, and this week it is Wild Bill Donovan. Wild Bill Donovan would go on to his greatest fame, not earning the Medal of Honor, as he was the regimental commander of the New York Fighting 69th. Mm-hmm. But he would create in World War II the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA. So, and I've actually been in the CIA headquarters. They actually have a Wild Bill Donovan museum. It's tucked under a staircase. It's really interesting. It's not part of their normal tour, and their normal tours are hardly normal at all. Yep. You can't just get into the CIA building.
No.
But was able to go through that. It was quite fascinating. So let's bring it up to 1941.
There we have a gentleman by the name of Benjamin O. Davis became the first U.S. Army African-American Brigadier General. He was promoted to Brigadier General aroused of a brief but intense controversy, both the accounts of his race and because it came months before the presidential election. Very interesting,
Politics back then, we don't care about that. General Benjamin O. Davis retired. A salute to you, sir. You are an outstanding American.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to bring it up to 1945. We're going to talk about a movie that everybody has seen and heard of, Hacksaw Ridge. Speaking of Medal of Honor recipients, Desmond Doss became the very first conscientious objector to earn the Medal of Honor, and I have been told by historians that movie was fairly historically accurate.
Yes.
Not too much Hollywood in it.
No, and if you read and see the story of what Desmond Doss did, it just sends, like, when you think of Medal of Honor, he set the bar right there. One thing, my only connection to that story is I don't know what exactly his official title would be, but I served in one of my cavalry regiment units with. He would have been, I guess, the great nephew of Desmond Doss.
Nice.
And he would tell stories. He was the grandson of Desmond's brother. So what's that make him? Great nephew? Is that the official? Whatever the official name is.
Right.
But heard the stories quite a bit and unbelievable. It was just a amazing story of knowledge.
Another absolutely
and
great
courage.
American. Let's
Yep.
bring it up to 1962.
Alrighty.
A rather significant event. Take it away, my friend.
Well, we had for those of y'all. Unfortunately, I was not around. Chuck, I can't remember whether you. Remember those days in '62.
Yeah, believe it or not, I do. Some of my first memories, it was a pretty tense point in time.
Pretty tense. Yeah. We had a small little misunderstanding just south of Florida called the Cuban Missile Crisis, where for quite a while, I would say, to the best of my knowledge, or that I can historically remember, the closest we truly did come to all-out nuclear war.
There was one period of time under the Reagan administration where supposedly we got close, but we have never been as close
As we
to
were
nuclear war as we were in those 13 days.
between Kennedy and Khrushchev, going back and forth. The standoff in college, I had a professor that was on board a destroyer at the time, and I remember him telling us, like, the pucker factor out there was something else. It was no joke, and you never knew at one moment whether this thing was going to go south really quickly. And it's one of those things where, thank God, cooler heads did prevail in the end. So,
And the beauty of it was, speaking of naval history, as JFK was a true naval hero,
Yes,
recipient
he
of
was.
the Navy Cross for his actions related to PT 109. He was not known for having an incredibly strong backbone in foreign policy, and yet he made Nikita Khrushchev blink.
Yep.
And
Not an easy thing to do if you know the history of Khrushchev.
not if you know the history of Khrushchev. All right, let's wrap up Kilroy's knowledge.
Well, we got a couple more, but I'll let you
Wait a
do
minute.
this one.
You're supposed to do these in order. Okay, so you've got one you want to go. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I know. No, you're going to wrap up.
Yeah, I'll wrap
Let
up.
me talk about this real quick. And if we could throw up the Band of Brothers photos, our producers are having a jaw-jacking conversation and ignoring us. Band
Yeah.
of Brothers.
We're working on that. That's okay.
If you could see that, wish we could flip the cameras around.
Hey, you two behave yourself.
We are
I'm over
behaving
here.
ourselves.
You've got
Would you
so
guys
much,
wake up?
You got so much mass media going over here. I'm trying to keep up with the two
I
of
tell
you.
you what, and it's
The
I
two of
brought
yous.
them coffee. There
Yeah.
are no excuses this
Exactly. We
morning.
brought coffee and donuts.
And
By the
donuts.
way, Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Thank
Why
you
you
so
guys
much.
aren't sponsoring us?
We don't know,
We
but
buy your products. We promote your stuff on
exactly.
the air,
And I got to throw a big out to Dunkin' Donuts. Their bagel bites with cream cheese, pretty awesome. If you haven't had them, definitely get it. All right, so we're working through the technical.
Okay. So anyway, 2002, and Andrew's going to wrap up our.
Well, I got two. Remember, I got two
Oh,
facts.
you got two of them? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let you have two fun facts because we can't stop him anyway. But in 2002.
Hey, man.
Hey,
Sorry.
can we get our picture up there?
There we go.
Relax.
There we go.
There we
Yes,
go. There we go. Yeah, can you
yes.
get the computer stuff out?
Oh,
of
I'm
there?
a computer.
Anyway, for those of you who can see the picture, unfortunately in 2002 we lost Stephen Ambrose, the author of Band of Brothers. We're eventually going to do a military movie segment, and some people argue, well, the Band of Brothers is a miniseries. It is the GOAT, in my opinion. It is the best.
I would challenge most people, and I'd say that is a very
Yep.
awesome debate on, is there much better than that?
I can't think of anything, brother.
There's a couple that get
Come
honorable
close.
mention and come close, no question about it, but Band of Brothers, I would definitely agree with you, is the benchmark of military movies.
And for those, part of Stephen Ambrose's legacy, besides some incredible stories about the heroics and the men that served in World War II, is he helped create in New Orleans the World War II Museum, which is spectacular, although I have not gotten to... I have been to a concert in there, but I have not gotten to tour the facility as the rest of our crew that weekend wanted to go see the quarter.
I got you. Actually, speaking of that museum, if JP would pull up are Kilroy's little logo. Whenever I'll let him
coming.
When he gets no big deal. No big.
In fairness to JP, we didn't set him up for this.
No.
We didn't
This
know
one
you
is
were gonna do this.
I'm just going to add one of that picture right there. Do you know where that's taken?
I have no idea.
The World War II museum in New
cool.
Orleans.
There we
that
go.
was taken from that museum. So that picture is actually down there in New Orleans. Just a little sidebar.
Okay, so,
All right, so my two little things. I'll start off with the really historical one. On this day, for those history buffs, General Cornwallis of the British Empire officially waved his white flag and surrendered to General Washington, effectively ending the Revolutionary War. 6.5 years. It was over in Yorktown.
very good.
And the official treaty was signed on the 19th, but on this day, Cornwallis offered a sword and surrendered to Washington. So kind of a cool little fact. Kind of a neat thing, Army guy.
So bring it up to the 21st century.
21st century. On this day also, I just have to throw some personal, knowledge bomb there, is this was a day that we started the trial against the only word I can use is dictator. I can't even call him a leader, Tyrant, dictator. I can choose a few other words, even though it's on podcast.
Brutally oppressive tyrant.
Other things more common. Saddam Hussein.
Yep.
The trial started with him today. And obviously we all know the end result. But what some people don't know is when I was stationed over in Iraq, the living quarters where I was at, the quarters right next to mine, where Saddam was being kept over at Fob Cropper, was the MP unit that was assigned to escort him to his jury trials. Well, we talked to several of the guys over there, and there was actually an article that came out that whenever Saddam was being less than respectful to the court and jury, the head of the prison would only feed him Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops? Why Fruit Loops?
Because he hated Fruit Loops. Hated them with a passion. But if he behaved with his meal, he would get another American food called Cool Ranch Doritos, which he seemed to like quite a bit. Which is funny. For a guy who hated America so much, did you know, and I can also add this part in there, he had for his grandkids over at Camp Slayer a mock-up village of the Flintstones. It was called the Flintstone Village. He loved American stuff. Even though he was a tyrant, he really did like all things American. I mentioned it because when I got promoted captain, guess what? I got promoted on top of the Flintstone Village over in Baghdad. So
that is so appropriate for those that know our Andrew White.
Yep. So, anyways, those are your Kilroy's knowledge bombs for the week.
Outstanding stuff. We have a tremendous amount of fun on the show, and
Yes,
we
we
hope
do.
our listeners enjoy the back and forth. But we actually want to take our middle segment before we introduce one of my absolute favorite veteran service organizations. We want to take a few minutes and talk about what most people don't know is that Major White is part of the Corps of Engineers, and he actually does a lot with hiring. So let's talk a little bit about veteran hiring.
Correct.
So what is it? Just give me the quick
I'm going to give you
overview.
the general overview on, right now, as a nation, we are, trying to get America working again. And what we do is we're building careers for our veterans and their family members. There are special categories inside the federal government by law that I wouldn't say eases it, but it streamlines the process for veterans and their family members, specifically spouses, to get a fair and equal opportunity to get some really amazing job opportunities with inside the federal government.
And specifically, and I don't think you mentioned this, specifically which department of the federal government are you working with?
Well, I work for the DOD in my civilian life, in the Department of the Army particularly. But all these opportunities are not just with DoD; they're federal wide. Whether you want to work for the Army Corps of Engineers, you want to go work for the Department of Interior, you want to go work as a legislative aide, all those categories going in. So we have what's called VSO, Service Connected Disabled Veteran, special categories, and all these things. Supervisors, if you meet, and you still have to meet the minimum qualifications for this, they can't just hire you because of good looks and charm. Though with me, I am pretty good looking and extremely charming, so that could be part of the reason why I was hired. But we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, well, let's go with that.
Yeah, but they get an opportunity to get directly hired if they meet all the qualifications and they are very well qualified. Supervisors can make an on-the-spot hire opportunity for these individuals based off of whether, veteran preference, spousal preference. Here's a couple things that folks don't realize. If you're out there and you're getting either a degree, advanced degree, if you are a veteran, you have a window of 6 years after you graduate to be considered for a direct hire opportunity upon graduation. Non-veterans, it's a 2-year. So that window grows for this. So if you're out there, you're getting an education, and you want to use those skills to highlight yourself to become more competitive for these jobs, those are some of those great opportunities for these veterans. They can use that to go get jobs.
So one of the things that I'm going to have Andrew do,
Yep.
If you've been to the Kilroy's Conversation Facebook page, I'm going to have him post the link for our veterans and our non-veterans, those that are looking for employment. To make it a little easier, we'll streamline the process on our end. In fact, I'm going to have him do that before he leaves the studio today. Let's talk about... I really wanted to get into the scope of the kind of jobs, because I know when people hear, like, for example, Corps of Engineers, they start to think, well, I'm not qualified for that. But let's talk about the scope.
Yeah, no problem. We have, with inside the Corps of Engineers, and I will speak about them particularly, it's not just all engineering. We literally have every conceivable possible job out there with inside our organization. We have, obviously, engineering jobs, but we have natural resource specialists, which works the Parks and Recs, department out there. So if you were to go out to any one of our national parks out there, those are Corps of Engineer guys out there, those park rangers. Yep. They're part of us. They go out there, and they're not engineers, or at least some of them could be.
We're going to do a little Texas trivia real fast.
Alrighty.
I'm going to throw this in here.
Sure.
We're going to test the knowledge of our audience. And you guys post on Facebook if you know where this is.
All right.
How many man-made lakes are there in Texas? And for the bonus points, what's the name them?
All the man-made lakes? Oh, I couldn't.
No. Yes, all the man-made lakes in Texas.
There are
no. Excuse me, I said that backwards.
Yeah. How many
non-man-made? Oh my gosh, I said that backwards.
I know the number of natural lakes there are in Texas. Although I
just
cannot
did
pronounce.
That to see if JP was awake over there.
I cannot pronounce the name of that actual lake, but it starts with a C, if I'm not mistaken.
Very good.
And
so how many are there?
There is one.
Okay, well, I asked the audience to post it on Facebook, but Andrew just gave the amazing thing that most people don't realize. Virtually every lake, with one exception in Texas, I say virtually every lake with one exception, is man-made. Most of them Corps of Engineer lakes, but not all of them.
That is true.
But it's Cato Lake, which is really more of a swamp.
Yep, I knew that. I could not pronounce, and that is a Native American name, correct?
That is an Indian tribe, yes.
Yep.
Cato. Those were the Cato Indians that lived in East Texas, and the lake was named after them.
Nice.
Yeah, so there we go. So anyway,
more knowledge bombs being dropped.
Knowledge bombs all the time on the show. Go ahead, continue to talk about the variety of employment opportunities.
So we have, like I said, and I can speak with the Corps, but it's not just the Corps. It's this way in just about every federal agency. It's not just the surface jobs that you would think, like civil engineer, mechanical engineer, all that. We have we have needs for lawyers. Believe it or not, we have a huge legal department, because of some of the jobs that we do, understanding things like easements and property and buying property and all that. That's huge.
Yep.
So there's a massive legal department in there. And then again, with that, you have all your social sciences. Because when we go into areas, there are some very small little one-horse towns in Texas. Now, I'm just speaking on Texas. Well, when we go in there to go build and do construction projects, well, guess what? We've just changed the infrastructure of that area. So we need...
So you brought in 2 horses to the one-horse town?
We've run into a few one-horse towns in there. But we do all kinds of projects that affect the overall community in the positive ways, but it does change, the overall dynamics of that community. The population could be growing greatly with whatever projects we got going on. And then, we have, archaeologists in there, sociologists, all kinds of stuff. But it's not just to the core, it's to all federal agencies are the same way of how they're set up and structured, where, I tell people some of my biggest piece of advice I give to anyone looking to get a job inside the federal government. Go on to www.usajobs.gov. I'm going to say that again, www.usajobs.gov. Build your resume. Don't just upload your resume, build it, because you want your resume to be in a federal format statute in order for you to be properly recognized inside the system. Not only that, but unlike civilian jobs, federal resumes can be extensively long.
Yes.
They can. Most civilians think, oh, my resume, 1, maybe 2 pages. Let me tell you, in the federal system, I've seen some resumes come across our desks that are 8, 9, 10, 12 pages long. You get credit in the government for every little thing you've done, volunteer or otherwise.
Nice.
So if you volunteered to do whatever the criteria that job's looking for, and you can show credit for that, you get credit for that. Put it on your resume. That's why these resumes are as long. That's just how the federal government works. That's also the reason why you want your resume in a federal format versus a civilian style format. So not only that, but I can tell you right now, October, most people don't know this. The federal government, our fiscal year starts 1 October. Now's the time to apply for jobs. And if you were a recent college graduate and you're living in your mom's and dad's basement and mom and dad are tired of having you, mooch off them, hint, hint, moms, dads, may want to wake up that child of yours. I know it's the weekend. Get them to www.usajobs.gov. Have them start filling out applications so they can move out of your house and move into their own place. I see a few nods from our producers over there saying, that's a good idea. Let's get Junior out the door, because nobody wants a 40-year-old son and daughter that you've just spent a whole ton of money on their education living in your house once again, right? Cassie, do you want 40-year-old children? In your she's looking at me. It's like
it depends if they're mine or not.
Yeah. But it is now is definitely probably one of the prime times if you are looking for a government job, and I will tell you right now, I personally love working for the federal government. It is great. I happen to think I've got the greatest job in the world, and I definitely have the greatest people in the world that I get to work with every single day. So please apply to jobs out there. They're there for you. And take advantage. If you are a veteran or if you're a recent college graduate, use those opportunities to make yourself more competitive in the federal hiring process. It is a great time to get a great job, especially with the Army Corps of Engineers. So, hope that helps answer some of those questions for you, Chuck.
Sounds awesome. One of the things that I'm going to ask to do is to ask. I'm asking our listeners to hit the Kilroy's Conversation Facebook page, like the page. We are going to like that there, and we are going to our Veteran Service Organization of the Week. And this is particularly near and dear to my heart, and that'll make a little more sense a little later on. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
There we go. We would like to welcome David Haas of Carry the Load, Navy veteran, to the show. David, can you hear us? Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? No, his microphone is muted. We have to unmute his microphone. He's there. Look at him.
We see him.
Smile at him. Waving. Yeah, there we go. He's waving at us and everything.
I heard a voice.
Hello.
Hey,
David, how are you?
All
Welcome to the
David,
show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's start out. Why don't you tell the audience about Carry the Load and the mission of Carry the Load?
Absolutely. So Carry the Load actually started back in 2011. It started as a way Clint Bruce, Stephen Holly wanted to do a road march in true military fashion to remember those that they lost. And that's actually started out at White Rock Lake. So they had the packs and hit the trail. They came across a World War II veteran, and he just asked, who are you carrying? And so that's really the short story of how it started, but what's taken place since then and each year after. National relays on East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, and Mountain States. So it's really grown here to what it is today and continues to grow. So it really was about the mission is to, overall to provide an active and meaningful way for Americans to honor, the sacrifices made by military veterans, first responders and their families. And so in doing so, and really bringing the true meaning of Memorial Day back. And so that is really the start and where Carry the Load has come today.
I'll have to, David, first of all, you said it wonderfully about Carry the Load. I've been carrying the load and been walking, I think, ever since the second one. I missed the first year, but certainly been going ever since then. And Chuck and I, we've been out there many times together during Carry the Load. There we go. We got the logo popping up. I love, my favorite thing about the message we can say is reminding everyone the true meaning of Memorial Day. And that is something that resonates with me so incredibly well, mainly because, if you're a veteran, especially in the last 20-something years, we're all probably carrying at least one, unfortunately in some cases, more than one every day. And
so let's talk about that. David, explain to our listening audience, what does it mean? What is carrying? What load are we talking about?
Well, the load we're talking about is the memory of loved ones, and making sure that and again around Memorial Day and where this all started was carrying the load of the sacrifice that they made, and these are loved ones, friends, family, everyone you served with, and so the load is that of which can be many things. I don't know that there's a single definition of a load, but that load is really the feelings and the love and the remembrance of that person who did have paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense and protection of our way of life here in America.
That's perfectly said. Now, this year, unfortunately, due to, circumstances way beyond any of our control, Carry the Load was modified to a virtual carry. I was relatively happy I got to do some carrying myself. Did that. What is the next big thing of Carry the Load doing? Is it focusing on restarting the relay in early May, April timeframe? Are we looking to go back to what we did before or modification again?
Well, that is to be seen. I mean, certainly we want to get back to where we were. I think all of us share that.
Yep.
We did have to modify it this year, and but it happened. The turnout was tremendous.
Awesome.
Even with the modifications and the weather, everything that played a part in it, it still happened. And there were so many people involved in making that event happen this year. To come together in May, and remember that was just a couple short months after the pandemic really started.
And
so
you guys did awesome with that.
Yeah.
One of the neat things I saw, again, I agree with you. I'd rather see the in-person stuff just because I love Katy Trail, walking up and down of there. So much fun. It's kind of one of those things where I look forward every year to see some of the same faces. Unfortunately,
Come on, tell the truth. You love sitting over at the Katy Ice House drinking a cold one.
that's fun too, and I'm not going to deny that aspect of it. But what I thought was really special this year, and I got to see some videos, and I'm sure you probably saw them, of not only people all over the country, but I saw some videos from troops overseas in various different places, civilians in countries that I was like, oh my God, how do they know about that? So your reach is way beyond just the borders of our nation. You have definitely reached England, France, Australia, several other great countries that have partnered with us in, over the years. Watching some of those videos of some of those folks partaking in it, kudos to you guys. Absolutely kudos.
David, one of the things, we got to talk yesterday on the phone a little bit, but one of the things I'd like you to do for the audience, talk about your role with Carry the Load, what it is you do, because it's really special. And after you do that, we're going to flash a graphic up that will kind of highlight that, and it's something that means a lot to me.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Chuck. So, in addition to being a Carry the Load ambassador, I also work on our operations committee, and specifically with our storyboard team. And so for 4 years, I've been working with families who have lost loved ones, friends, that they want to have a storyboard created. So one of our awareness things that we do is create a storyboard for that loved one that includes a photograph and room to tell the story about that loved one, and with the banner, always remember. And so for anyone who has been on the Katy Trail or been to one of our events, and the storyboards that we have that we continue to get participation in, and we've had to get very creative at our locations to make sure that we're able to get all of these in very visible spots to honor all of those folks. But my role, and there are others involved as well here, but are to interface with those families to create those storyboards for them.
And these storyboards, we were talking about Katy Trail. For those who know Dallas, they'll know what Katy Trail is. It was part of the National Rails to Trails system. For those who don't, it is a long, very flat, terrific walking trail that was, as I said, created by the National Rails to Trails system with some unused rail lines. So it's a great place, especially in May on Memorial Day when it's starting to really get hot in Texas. But this walkway is lined with literally thousands of storyboards of those that we have lost. We're trying to pop one up right now. Yeah. I am very honored that Carry the Load has chosen two of my TBS classmates. All Marine officers go through what is called the basic school. One was my roommate. There we go. That is Woolly Bear. First Lieutenant Don Woolly Bear. Woolly Bear Woolet. Woolly Bear was his call sign for obvious reasons. A Naval Academy grad. He was actually a fantastic young man whose life was tragically cut short by the cowardly bomb blast in Beirut. The Marines who were serving in Beirut came in peace, simply trying to become a physical buffer between the fighting factions there, and for their efforts, Halozabah killed them. Trying to do this without choking up too much, but this is the type of storyboard one would see, slightly different from this one. I was absolutely honored. One of the very first newsletters that Carry the Load put out, they feature one of these with every newsletter, and this is the picture from the week that Woolly Bear was killed, October 23rd, 1983. We will be talking about Woolly Bear next weekend.
Absolutely.
And the bomb blast that took 241 Marines, soldiers, and sailors. Not to mention 40 French servicemen. And I was going to go south. There we go. This is Woolly Bear's grave. He is buried in the Arlington National Cemetery. And I'm trying to see, to the right of this picture is a cypress tree that was planted. This is the section for the those we lost in Beirut, and there's a small plaque. They came in peace.
You know, there's just not enough gratitude, I think, that can be given to the men and women who gave their last full measure of effort to serve our great nation. Like Woolly Bear, many families hurt and friends struggle. And what Carry the Load, I think, does is, while it doesn't diminish that struggle, it helps. I've gotten to know many families that have their sons, their daughters' portraits up on there. And David, what you and the entire staff of Carry the Load do every day, and especially every year during Memorial Day, it's a form of healing. I don't know how else to say that. It is definitely a form. I've spent tons of time speaking to them, had several drinks at the Katie Trail house with many of those family members.
Shocked to hear you say that.
But you know what? It's a good thing. You know, it is definitely a good thing. And like I said, I cherish every one of those moments every year that I've been playing. So all I can tell you all is please keep up the great work.
Absolutely phenomenal work. And
do not stop.
I cannot say enough about what this does to those with survivor guilt, what this does to those who've lost men and women that they loved, but it is also a remembrance for an entire nation. And your movement has grown from the first march that you did from Hudson High, which is what we snarkily refer to as West Point, down through Annapolis, through Atlanta, and then into Dallas, and now comes down through starting in Seattle and comes down. I am a little bit surprised they don't take a turn in the Rockies, maybe because the Rockies are there, and pick up the Air Force Academy, but that's okay.
They'd fly down anyways.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, no room service along the way.
And there's no golf carts on the course that they could drive their cars on.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, Andrew and I have been, as he mentioned, and I mentioned to you the other day on the phone, longtime load carriers. And load carriers are another shirt that I'll wear on the show as we get closer to the Carry the Load events. And I've got them in all different colors because they do a slightly different shirt every year.
They do?
I did not get to keep this year's shirt because my son liked it too much. So I got him a medium because I don't wear a medium.
You could. You know.
Yeah, I could. But we wanted to, in this segment, I found a clip. It's not the clip we were originally going to run because I don't think that'll run. But I found a clip. It features Stephen Holly, and I'd like to go out with this. David, thank you so much for being on the show. And after the clip, we're going to close out the show for the week.
All right. Thank you very much for having us.
Hoorah, dude. Thank you
Look
so
forward
much.
to having you back
Absolutely.
soon.
And all you do. Thank you.
We're in for some audio.
Todd Boding,
Another great American.
absolute great American, sits on the board of 22 Kill. He actually participated in our golf tournament. He's the one who won the 50-50 raffle. I'll tell his story about Todd. This is the kind of individual that he is. The 50-50 raffle is we do a raffle. All the money we raise, half of it goes to whoever wins, half of it goes to the, in our case, Homeless Veteran Services of Dallas. So after I was the MC, and after I'd presented the money to him, he walks to the other side of the room, and then I didn't notice it, but he's back, and he's just kind of in my face shoving something at me. He handed me his envelope back.
Nice.
So that's Todd, great American. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. It happens.
But you know what? That video, even without sound, you still know the message of what's being put. Ooh, I like their new logo.
Yeah.
That's
Very
pretty cool. I haven't seen that yet.
Very cool.
Well, Chuck, another great show this week. A lot of fun being out here. A lot of good times. A lot of great knowledge being dropped and information. It was a good time. Great guest on our show today.
Blast.
David, anytime you want to come out here and be part of it, this studio is welcome to have you, any member, carry the load. We would love to be able to help push that. Again, I hate to say it, it is definitely one of my favorite events to take part of, but not for anything negative. It's just...
So why do you hate to say it?
Because I don't want it to come across like, you know the message I'm trying to say.
I have
no
clue where you're going with this.
It's a
honestly.
respectful thing that I have so much respect for what you guys do, so much respect for the idea, the message, the theme, the idea, everything about Carry the Load, that it is a first-class operation, no question about it.
And stay tuned. We're putting together a team for Carry the Load this year. We want to make all of Kilroy's conversation part of it. We'll be doing some fundraising for Homeless Veteran Services in Dallas. We'll explain all of that and how all of that works. But we'd like to invite everybody. You don't need to be a veteran. You don't have to have an excuse. Bring your dog if you want to take him on a long walk. Although not bringing Cooper. I don't think Cooper would hang. Cooper's about a 3-block dog. But... want to thank all of our shows from listening. Next week's Veteran Service Organization of the Week is going to be 22 Kill, another local Dallas organization that we have a lot of fun with. It's going to be another great show. We'll continue to track the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. If you have not already, like Kilroy's Conversation on Facebook.
Or whatever social media outlet
your friends. Yeah, share this. I'm looking at our producers and wondering when are we going to rebroadcast the show. Do we know? They're looking at each other. They're confused.
When do you want to?
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Look at that.
Let's do
Look
that.
at that.
Let's do that Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
All
Wednesday
right.
evenings. We'll see. You can see a
Then
rebroadcast
Wednesday
of
evening.
the
There you
show.
go.
There you go. I like it.
Share with your friends. Invite others. I hope you guys join us every Saturday morning to kick off a fun and great weekend.
And I want to throw out a little challenge out there to our listeners, because we did talk about it earlier in the show. We're going to start getting a little poll out there. We want your list of your favorite military movie and or miniseries.
There we go.
Yeah, depending on how you want to do it. Share that. Also, your least favorite. Now I already have my least favorite, and I can go ugly on. Well, I'm just going to throw it out there. Pearl Harbor, not even a military movie. I don't know. The only accurate part of that whole movie, I think, was it happened on December 7th. But
no, actually, the film sequence of the actual Battle of Pearl
Right.
Harbor is outstanding.
You got to pick Clint Eastwood movies. Come on, guys.
come on, we can talk about it. That's
a
up for
Clint
debate.
Eastwood war movie. Come on.
As worst or best?
As best.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I can
mean,
pick one that's
best.
pretty weak, actually.
which one?
Heartbreak Ridge.
Oh, come on.
Incredibly inaccurate, although we'll say lots of great movie lines, and one of the marks of a great movie is great movie one-liners, and that had a lot of them.
Yes, it did. It had.
But that movie was about as historically inaccurate as it could get.
How about the Battle of Midway?
Battle Midway, great.
Which one?
The last one
Which-
by
the most
Clint
recent
Eastwood.
one?
Yeah.
I liked it, and we're going to debate that. but Kelly's Heroes. Come on.
Oh my gosh, one of my all-time
you
top
can't
10. Hey, come
not-
on, we can't give away the whole show.
Exactly.
We're out of
How
time.
about Hogan's Heroes?
Hogan's
That's
Heroes.
good,
Oh,
too.
TV show.
But that counts in there. So we're going to talk
So
about
you know-
David, we
okay.
want you to chime
Fun
in next
trivia
week.
fact. Do you know
and give
what
in.
movie and book Hogan's Heroes is based on?
I do not.
Stalag 17.
Oh, there you go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
So, David, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the people, we want input, best and worst military movie-themed miniseries. We're going to make it very broad.
Very
so
broad.
that way people can. What do you think, David? Do you think you can help us out with that a little bit?
I don't know if I want to get in the middle of this.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's
We're
going
going
to
to
be
have
fun.
some fun. Going to have some fun with this one. And,
So-
and for the record, Heartbreak Ridge is not my worst.
All right.
It's just not very accurate.
All right. We'll talk about that more. See y'all next week. Hoorah!
Hoorah!
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, David.
All right, bye-bye.
We're clear hot?
Nope.
Nope, we're not. We're not cleared hot.
Wave. You can wave.
Keep waiting. UT San Antonio fight song. There you go. That's it right there. All for you, Chuck Wright. Thank you for joining Kilroy's Conversation with Major Andrew White and Marine helicopter pilot Chuck Wright. Join them Wednesday night. Also join them live Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock right here on the JP Captain and the Crew Network. Have a blessed